Let's do this. His invite to the spotlight, Tyler Shields.
Welcome to this week's edition of Invite to the Spotlight. Today we have with us master artisan Stephen Peduto, who also happens to be a senior here at Owen J. Roberts. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hey Tyler, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Yep. So you're really good with your hands. Oh, yep.
Very good.
Go ahead. And we have some of your work on display here. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do exactly?
Yeah, well, it all kind of started, I mean, it's now a hobby of mine, but it all kind of started just when I was young. I loved taking stuff apart. I would find anything around the house that we didn't need anymore, and I would kind of just like rip it down to the basics, see what it was made out of, or get some kind of ideas about how the mechanisms work. It always intrigued me. It was fascinating. So eventually I started putting stuff back together, and I started kind of adding my own little spin to things. I started working with wood because it was a material that was pretty forgiving. You could easily buff and sand out mistakes, stuff like that. So I did a lot of woodworking. Actually, I started making my own pens. I don't know if you guys want to like get a close-up of those or something, but I use those on a daily basis. I try not to bring them into school anymore because I lose them. I know it's upsetting to lose one, but yeah, so I started branching out into less forgiving materials like metal, and I started just taking stuff from around the house like spoons and old vintage stuff and reworking it, repositioning it. I didn't make the Sour Patch Kids, but here's actually a piece of buffalo horn that somebody gave me. I don't know, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this yet, but it's such a cool material. It's just like a, I don't know, brick. I mean, it's just waiting to be made into something. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I hear it can be sanded and polished to a near mirror finish. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, Stephen, can you tell me a little bit about this? It looks like quite an intricate piece of work.
Maybe it's actually a work I've been, it took me about a month. That is probably the longest standing project I've ever worked on. It's called a Cryptex. It was actually, I got the idea from a movie prop. Somebody had one of these that was actually used in the movie The Da Vinci Code. It's like a small handheld safe almost. And I just thought it was so cool, but I wanted to put my own little spin on it. And I kind of loved like working with locks and taking stuff, like I said, taking stuff apart, but this was a chance to reconstruct something of my own. So I actually kind of delved further into how this would work and just spent hours thinking about it and eventually came up with this. And you can see you line up the wood grain to slide out the interior, which houses a small vial. It can be filled with anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Like I said, it took me a long time. This is probably the longest I've ever focused on one project.
Right.
Neat little lockbox.
Yeah. That'll come in handy,
Cool.
I bet.
We got, did some antler carving on one end, and I worked with a new material, Damascus steel. It's actually pretty cool. I think they basically take two different carbon content steels and mash them together under high heat, and then it gives you like a poorly mixed alloy almost, and then they etch it in acid, and it etches the two steels differently, creating this raindrop pattern you can see here. So I thought that was really interesting. It's so neat. It's the first time ever working with it. I had to actually cut this round out of a sheet by hand and grind it until it fit. It took me forever.
Well, you sure are good at it.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Time and effort, man. That's it.
What do you think your favorite material is to work with?
Well, it used to definitely be wood. Like I said, it was very forgiving. But now like I said, I was branching out to new materials. I'm liking antler, actually. Antler? It's really interesting. It carves really well. It's easy to work with, easier than you'd think. It's a rough material, but I actually have a little fleck of antler here. This is the base of the antler. It's actually called the crown, right where the antler would connect to the skull of the animal. Right. And it's just a neat pattern. I love finding these neat little things that nature kind of gives us, making them into my own little project. Right. So it's neat. So do you have any plans for maybe a career with your craftsmanship? I mean, really, this stuff is really high quality. I'd pay a substantial fee for some of your work. Thank you. I don't know. I don't really see myself being completely reliant on just crafting things as a career. I would like to have it as like a side job, you know, something to bring in a little money on the side would be neat in addition to the engineering career I'm actually looking in, going into. So yeah, it would be nice to make stuff on the side and get the artwork out to people. It's really neat, you know, makes a lot of people really happy to see. Right. And you're going to Temple University, right? Yeah, correct. Right. Huh. Well, I hope you have a great life and a great career. And I really hope that you can intertwine some of this work with your future plans. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be glad to bring it back to O&J and share it with you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Especially you, Tyler. You're welcome here. Thank you, Stephen.
All right, well, there you have it. That's this week's invite to the spotlight. Stephen Peduto, he's really good at making things with his hands, and one quite smart cookie.
Thank you, Tyler.
We'll see you next week.